Sending this to YouTube, it takes a couple minutes, so okay. I just initiated the YouTube live. Sending this to YouTube, it takes a couple minutes, so oops, I just initiated the YouTube. Abiola, we're live when you're ready. Okay. It is streaming now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. caught me off guard a little bit there. I was making sure to share the YouTube live stream link through our social platforms to make sure that we get as many people involved in today's practice as possible. If you are just joining us, welcome. Happy Sunday. I hope you're feeling good in your physical body as well as your sensory body, your invisible body, the body I can't necessarily see when I look at you with my naked eye. Also, just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. Some of you may have seen my face before. Others of you, this is your first time interacting with me or hearing me talk at you. My name is Abiola Akani, and I'm the founder of Yoga by Biola and Trap Vinyasa. You can feel free to call me Abiola or Biola, whichever one you can remember. I'll respond to either of those, and I'll be guiding you through a very special Juneteenth yoga class today. Specifically, this yoga class is going to focus on restorative yoga. Now, restorative yoga is really unique in that it utilizes very little resistance in the postures, and you hold the postures for sometimes 5 to 10 minutes long, even 15 minutes in some classes, to really activate the parasympathetic nervous system to reduce the fight or flight mode. Now, what we're trying to focus on today, specifically with this class, this is a restorative yoga class for collective trauma. No one is unaware of what's taking place right now within the African American community, what we're experiencing, the racial injustices that we're experiencing with police brutality and the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. These types of instances bring up so much generational trauma and triggers for the African American community that causes us to have that fight or flight mode response, because it's extremely daunting and limits the scope of our reality in terms of what we can do, not only our physical reality with systematic oppression, but our emotional reality because of the generational trauma we have to face year after year that continues to go on because of notions of white supremacy. So with this practice, I hope to allow you to actually reduce the fight or flight mode and to activate the parasympathetic nervous system so you can kind of relax into the body, release and decompress the muscles, and soften into your vessel, lengthen the breath, and begin to ultimately cultivate a sense of rest in the body, which is so essential right now for our community, the African American community, and the allies who are actively and truly doing the work to support us in this movement. Now, what's really unique and lovely about this practice is that it's completely accessible for anyone and everyone. It has a very low barrier of entry. So it's accessible for people who have injuries, for the elderly, for people who are not able to move as freely in their body. This is a great practice. Majority of the time, we'll actually be lying on our backs or different sides of the body. We won't be in any mid-standing poses or full standing poses at all. Now, if anything doesn't feel comfortable for you, like always, I invite you to completely omit it and find what does feel safe for you. For today's practice, you won't really need too much of anything aside for one prop, and that is a pillow. So if you look behind me, this is my little yoga setup here, and you'll see that little green pillow. That's actually a yoga bolster, yoga pillow. Now, I know for many of us, we don't have yoga props just lying around our homes, yoga bolsters, straps, blankets, and things like that. But you do have a pillow that you sleep with. I know you do, Bill. So just go ahead and grab just any old pillow that you have, that you sleep with, or that you have lying around the house. Any old pillow will do. You can go ahead and utilize that. If you want additional height in some of the postures, you can bring out 2 pillows so that you can kind of mimic, more lift. For right now, I just have one bolster, so I just have one pillow, and that works fine. But utilize what feels good for you. If you don't have a yoga mat, that is not required. What's really nice about practicing virtually is you can practice in your space without a yoga mat. A yoga mat is not required. Traditional yogis from ancient times did not have yoga mats, so it's not required, and don't feel like you need to have one to practice. You can do this on your carpet, wherever you feel safe, just resting and lying down. Now with restorative yoga, these are meditative postures. So like I said, very low resistance, little to no resistance specifically, really meditative movements. And you'll find that we're dropping into our breath a lot of the times, a little bit deeper than more rigorous style yoga practices. So pranayama is going to be very important, understanding and noticing the consistency, the texture and pace of your breath, dropping into the pulse of your breath, and beginning to understand and experience the sensations of your sensory body through your 5 senses. You'll hear me talking about that a lot, tapping into sensations, smell, touch, sight, hear, taste. That allows us to be in our now body, our present body, when we can interact with all of the 5 senses. So really being in our sensual body, which has nothing to do with sexuality. Once again, if anything doesn't feel safe for you or you need to omit anything, please take the time to do so. One thing before we get started, within this movement that's taking place right now, I've come to notice and come to find that everyone has a different position that they play. Not everybody is going to be on the front lines at the marches and the protests. Some of us are healers. Some of us are going to move as advocates and educators. Others of us are builders. Others of us are going to be holding space in different ways. The main thing is to really begin to take the time to identify what your position is in this movement and honor it wholeheartedly and put some action behind it. So sometimes our position is just rest. If that is your position for today, take that position and be mindful that that position in the movement is going to change daily. Some days you're going to be doing something, other days you're going to be doing another thing. Or for a week you're doing one thing, you're playing in one position, and for another week it looks different. Give yourself permission to abide in that. It doesn't have to look the same way as everybody else. It can look however you need it to look for your body, just as long as it's intentioned and action is woven within it and behind it. So once we get started here, I always say, if you do have any experiences of trauma or any level of triggers within the emotional body that causes you to disassociate from your physical body, when you close your eyes, I invite you to keep the eyes open so that we can stay present in our body. We don't want to use this practice to escape the body, but we want to use this practice to actually be in body, to experience the sensation of living in our bodies and cultivate rest in the present moment. So really be mindful when you close your eyes for any experiences or levels of trauma cause you to dissociate. Keep the eyes open. Cultivate safe space within your physical vessel, with the understanding that safe space is first defined subjectively within the individual before we can define it collectively. We're going to go ahead and get started lying down on our mats or our carpet or our beds on our backs. I'm going to go ahead and get up here. And you'll notice that one more thing, restorative yoga, we're not going to be standing at all. So I'm in super comfortable clothing. I have my oversized sweatshirt on, my super stretchy pants, and I even have socks on. You won't be standing up or doing anything like a down dog. So you can basically do this in your pajamas if you wanted to. Now I have my pillow here and I'm going to put it on the widest width that it can go, kind of up to the top of my mat, but not all the way up. And from here, I'm going to actually extend my legs, and the back of my heart is going to float over my bolster or my pillow. So I'm going to draw the back of my heart onto my pillow. Make sure it's the back of the heart, not your low back. And then my head and neck
are going to spill over my pillow so that I can open up through my throat a little bit here. Now, this is where I discussed with you, if you want more opening through the chest, this is a great opportunity to stack 2 pillows on top of one another. So I feel the pillow pressing in the back of my chest. I'm expanding and opening up through my chest and my heart, and specifically my throat here. We're going to start here with the hands on the belly, and we'll start with some breathing. Now, if at any time this elevation feels uncomfortable in your low back, just bend the knees here to really soften through the low back. Continue to expand through the back of the chest and the heart, and relax the shoulders down. No holding here through anything. And let's start to invite in some breathing here. So I want you to take a deep inhale in through the nostrils. Exhale out of the mouth, H-A. Nice. 2 more of those, deep inhale. Exhale out of the mouth, H-A. Deep inhale. Exhale out of the mouth, H-A. Now from here, go ahead and invite the lips together. You're going to find Ujjayi Pranayama. That's an audible exhalation out of the nose. So we're inhaling through the nostrils and feeling the breath rise in the throat to the crown of the head. And then on the exhale, push the breath out of the nostrils and cultivate kind of a little bit of sound through the nostrils. So it's going to sound a little bit like a soft whisper or an ocean breeze, and you're going to feel the breath drag along the back of the throat. And I want you to over-exaggerate the exhalation pouring out of the nostrils. I don't want you to try to shoot the breath out. I just want you to really lengthen the breath. So imagine it like a long, stretchy rubber band, and begin to stretch the breath long on the inhalation, and then stretch the breath long on the exhalation. As if you're specifically utilizing the breath to activate the throat. So finding voice without necessarily speaking. Now as you soften into your breathing, I want you to begin to notice the physical body. So notice what you're feeling on a very visceral level. Notice what you're feeling in the blood, in the muscles and the bones. Notice what you're feeling on the skin. So just taking a moment to scan your physical body without judgment or criticism, just noticing. Then allow the breath to penetrate through the skin, through the physical body, and move your awareness towards your emotional body. And consider what you're feeling and or carrying here. Once again, without judgment or criticism, you don't have to try to figure it out. I just want you to notice what's there. And use the breath to make space for it. So, utilizing the breath to cultivate a bit of patience. Feeling the breath soften you into your body, as well as your emotional body. We're going to continue to acknowledge what we feel and what we see, but doing so without judgment or criticism, and specifically doing so from a state of space and rest, as opposed to responding to what we see and feel from a state of fight or flight. I want you to acknowledge what you see and feel while relaxing and softening into the body. Let's continue to expand through the chest and the heart by lifting the hands up and draw them straight over the head. So we want to keep opening up through the chest. We want to cultivate more receptivity. You can grab opposite hands and just relax the hands down. You're going to feel a stretch opening up through the chest, underneath the armpits, along the side body ribs. Once again, utilizing the pillow to create that lift and elevation, to open up through the chest more. Let's inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Continue to move through that breath on your own. Feel the shoulders relax into your pillow. And feel the chest and heart expand to receive. Cultivating more space through the chest and the heart. through breath. Slowly from here, bend your right knee and just roll over to your left side body. You're going to extend your left arm up and over. So you're on the left side. Legs are long. Now this time, right underneath your left armpit is where the pillow is. Left ear comes to relax on the left shoulder. Excuse me, bless me. Left ear relaxes on the left shoulder. Right hand sweeps straight up, and you use your left hand to capture the right wrist. You're just kind of bending the elbow and just hanging out there. And now we're opening up through the side body ribs. We want to open up the chest and the heart 360 degrees all the way around. So we started opening up through the chest. Now let's get into the ribs and the side body. So this area of the body is often neglected. When we come to the obliques, the sides of the ribs, we continue to think about the front and the back of the ribs, but the sides of the ribs too, we want to lengthen those muscles and expand the space here to expand our breath capacity overall. And feel yourself begin to lift up and breathe into the right side rib cage. And continue to find Ujjayi, inhaling through the nostrils, exhaling out of the nostrils, cultivating space here to rest. Understand that that is radical, especially for us African Americans. It's radical to rest. It is a position of power to rest. And it's also a very needed position within the movement to rest. We can't be active and doing and going all the time. Feel yourself lift up into the right side body. Use the exhale to completely decompress the muscles. Continue to settle into the body by cultivating more space through breath. A few more rounds of breath here. Keep the breath long here. Slowly float the right hand down alongside the hip. Roll back onto your back and take it to the opposite side. You're going to roll to the right. Your pillow can stay right where it is. You're going to extend your right arm long. Relax the right ear to the right shoulder. Legs are long, or you can have a micro bend in the knees. Float the left hand straight up and use the right wrist, or right hand to capture the left wrist, and start to breathe into the left ribs, softening that space in between the armpit and the bottom of the hip. Continue to use the breath to cultivate space in the body. Cultivating space specifically for rest. Let that be your position for the moment. Now, if you feel yourself tightening through this left shoulder or hiking it up, I want you to really intentionally relax the shoulders. The shoulders doesn't have to do anything here. Just abide in the let the stretch take place. A few more rounds of breath here. Slowly float the left hand down alongside the hip and roll onto your back. Once again. This time coming back to your left side. Take your time and use your hands to shine or dry yourself up. Now from here, you're going to turn your pillow the long way this time. So before it was wide, now turn it the long way. So like the length of your mat here. And notice the positioning of my body. So I'm still kind of on my left side hip. I'm going to draw the base of my pillow right to the top of my left hip crease. And I'm going to keep my knees bent. And I'm going to draw both hands to straddle my pillow. I'm going to come into a gentle twist and slowly draw my chest and my heart onto my pillow for a gentle twist through my torso. So remember, we were working the torso 360 degrees. Now, I can keep my chin on my pillow here. Or I can just omit the twist and just keep my left ear to the pillow. Or I can find a full twist through my head of the neck and draw my right ear to the pillow. Choose your own adventure if that twist through the head and the neck feels safe for you. Continue to settle in here. Continue to find space through breath here. I'm just lifting my head so I can adjust my headset so you guys can still hear me. A few more rounds of breath on this side. Slowly draw your chin back to the bolster. If you found that deeper twist to the neck, bring the hands and gently raise the heart. Now you're just going to turn the tailbone, the base of the pillow, and let's make it to the other side. I'm going to turn towards the other side. This time, your right hip is going to be at the base of the pillow. Both hands come to straddle the pillow and just already feel that twist in the low back. Make sure it feels safe. And then when you're ready to descend, go ahead and come down. Chin can come to the pillow. Remember, you're bending the knees. Or you can draw the right ear to the pillow or the left ear for that full twist. Feel yourself soften into the back of the neck here. Especially if you're doing this variation, the full twist through the head and the neck. If at all the twist, you're doing the twist, it feels uncomfortable, you don't have to endure through it. So know that you can come out at any time. I'm finding that this right side is a little bit more difficult. So I might actually come onto my chin on this side. A few more rounds of breath here. Slowly, if you had that full twist through the neck, invite the chin to your pillow. Push the hands into the back and lift. Go ahead. Come on to your back. And then just glide your pillow alongside you. You're going to sweep it underneath your knees. And you're going to root the feet, come down onto your back. Keep the knees bent. Lift the hips. And draw your pillow on the widest width. And draw your tailbone right on top of your pillow. We're going to hug the knees in to neutralize the spine from those twists. So feel yourself hug the knees in here for a moment and feel the sacrum, the tailbone, root completely into your pillow. Now this is a great opportunity, once again, how I discussed initially, if you want to stack 2 pillows to elevate the hips more, you can, especially if you have a low back. That elevation feels really nice because you're completely lengthening the vertebra and the sacrum. And just go ahead, you can keep the knees bent or you can extend the legs up a little bit, draw that blood down towards the thighs, into the knees. Hanging out here for a moment. It's going to feel at first like you're fighting gravity, but then you'll kind of begin to feel yourself soften into the body naturally. And you'll notice that I'm just adding a little bit of personal touch here. Just self-massage, self-soothing, to utilize my breath, but also the sensory response of self-touch to cultivate a state of rest in my body. Continue to hold here. You can roll up the ankles a bit here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bend the knees and root the feet into the earth. Keep the bolster or the pillow right where it is and extend the legs. So we want to open up the front of the thighs, this hip crease. We want to start to stretch it. You might have gotten a little tight from keeping the legs up. You're going to feel a stretch on the front of the hip. And if this hurts the low back, feel yourself draw your pillow down a little bit more towards your glutes as opposed to being underneath the sacrum. And just feel the stretch right along the front of your hips. It's going to be really nice if you have the pillow stacked to feel this elevation. This is going to feel like a deep stretch. There's a muscle, two muscles here that are called psoas that actually run along the front of the hips. And they help us pick up our legs when we walk. And we really want to focus on just lengthening that part of the body out because it does equate to the womb and to the groin. And these are areas that we want to keep as, we want to reduce any congestion here as much as possible. So consider cultivating rest in every part of the body, cultivating rest in the womb, cultivating rest in the heart, cultivating rest in the belly, cultivating rest in the hands, cultivating rest in the feet and the ankles, and the thighs and the hamstrings, and the knees. Cultivating it in the throat. Being specific here. Once again, adding the sensory response of self-touch to cultivate further rest here. I'm just massaging my womb right underneath my low belly on the more fleshier part underneath my belly button. A few more rounds of breath here. Go ahead and bend your knees. Root the feet here, and then feel yourself lift the hips up. And just float this pillow down right behind the knees so that your booty and your sacrum are flat, and let's hug the knees back in. Just rock left and right on the low back. Now you can clasp the front of the knees, you can also clasp behind the knees. We're going to find another gentle twist, floating the knees to the left. Relax the knees and the heels and the feet down, and the arms are going to open wide like a T. You're going to look over to the right. Once again, I'm adding the sensory experience of self-touch. Just massaging out my hips, where I'm feeling the most tension. Just responding to that self-touch to cultivate more rest here. Slowly release, come back to center, bend the knees back to center. Clasping the front or behind the knees, and let's take it to the right. We'll find our supine to the right, float the knees to the right. Relax the feet down, heels down, arms open wide like a T, find that twist. Slowly come back to center. Knees come back to center. Hug everything in. Now we'll do legs up the wall once more, this time without the pillow. Legs are gonna go up, hands are gonna go up. You're gonna relax the backs of the shoulders into your mat and just hang out here. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, bend the knees, float the feet back down to the earth. Hands come down. And go ahead and float or draw the pillow right underneath the knees. You can stack multiple pillows here to elevate the knees. Relaxing head and neck down for your final resting posture, Shavasana. Once again, feel free to close the eyes. You can keep them open here if it makes you feel safe and embodied. Continue utilizing the breath to cultivate more space here for rest. And as you do so, let that be enough. Just let it be enough. slowly begin to wiggle the toes and fingers. Bringing gentle movement back into your body. As you draw the arms up and over the chest, taking a deep breath into the heart and the throat that you've opened yourself up to, cultivating a state of rest in. From here, go ahead and just float onto your left side body into a fetal position. And make your way up to a seated position. Sukhasana. Sitting on your pillow, you can draw it behind you. Come to sit with some elevation on the hips. I invite you to close your practice today with whatever hand mudra feels intuitive to you and showcases gratitude for our practice today. Hand mudra being hand prayer. Traditionally, palms are drawn together, a little space in between the palms. Thumbs pressing into heart center for Anjali Mudra to seal the practice. Take a deep inhale in through the nostrils. Exhale out of the mouth, Eche. We will each repeat one time. I've done my best. I leave the rest. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this restorative yoga practice for collective trauma. I really hope that it resonated with your body and cultivated a state and sense of rest for you. Know that this practice is a great practice to do to really be radical about your rest during this time. I actually have this video, or not the same video, but a restorative yoga for collective trauma video on my YouTube channel, which is just Yoga by Biola. So if you go ahead and type that into YouTube, you will find that video, as well as a plethora of other yoga-based videos from intermediate, beginner, and advanced yoga videos, just to continue helping you cultivate your practice on the mat. If you have any questions, you can feel free to DM me at Yoga by Biola. You can also find me at yogabyBiola.com, at Yoga by Biola on Instagram, and my email is yogabyBiola@gmail.com. If you'd like to join me for a virtual in-person class, or a virtual live stream class rather, head to trapvinyasa.com. We have classes every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Have a beautiful rest of your week and continue to cultivate and hold your space, y'all.